The official Elden Ring Twitter page recently tweeted out this picture of everyone's new favorite waifu, but this tweet could also solve one of the game's lingering mysteries. Where are the shadows for Miquella and Malenia? In the game, there are at least 4 confirmed Empyreans, who can serve as vessels for
the Elden Ring.
Marika, Ranni, Miquella, and Malenia. As Empyreans, Marika and Ranni were both given their own shadows in the form of Maliketh and Blaidd. As E.G. explains,
the 2 fingers gave Blaidd to Lady Ranni as a faithful follower. Her very shadow, incapable of treachery.
But if the Empyreans are supposed to have a shadow, then what happened to the shadows for Miquella and Malenia? For the longest time, I just assumed that Malenia is Miquella's shadow. After all, she is
Blade of Miquella.
And since Malenia is Malenia, she probably doesn't need a shadow of her own. Now here's what grabbed my attention and got me to change my thinking. Given the armor sets and the line, "Will you walk with us?" the knight in the tweet is almost certainly the narrator from the DLC story trailer. And as Sekiro Doobie and Zyostorm pointed out, the knight from the tweet looks a lot like the default Type B model that was used for the Enchanted Knight class in the closed network test. In case you're still skeptical, there are plenty of close ties between the Cardians and Miquella. Loretta was once a Cardian knight before she went on a journey in search of a haven for Albinaurix, and determined that the Halig Tree was their best chance for eventual salvation. And right before her boss fight at the Halig Tree, you can find the Bonk Wizards. There's also the Miquellan Knight's Sword, which was modeled after the Cardian Knight's Sword, but with amber instead of glintstone. Although it's a sumptuous piece, it has never been offered to any knight, an ill-starred sword with no master. I think it's quite possible that this knight was supposed to get this sword, and we might find out why she didn't in the DLC. What's more, the connection between Cardia and Miquella was made even more explicit in the 1.0 version of the game. According to the Royal Guard set from Loretta, we learn that she was an Arbor Sentinel who served the sacred tree of Miquella, the Scion Empyrean. Hailing from Rayolucardia, these enchanted knights once belonged to the Cardian royal family, but were later gifted to Miquella, recipient of the vision, by King Consort Radagon, and we learned from Enya.
Queen Marika is the vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision, a god in truth.
I think it's also safe to assume that the narrator was very close to Miquella. From the trailer's opening lines, it sounds like the narrator learned of this knowledge directly from Miquella, and may have been a close confidant.
Miquella the Kind spoke of the beginning.
Now as it happens, there was another starting class in the CNT, the Bloody Wolf. Like the Enchanted Knight, the Bloody Wolf is no longer a starting class, but he did reappear as the NPC Bloody Wolf Vargrim, who was one of the first Tarnished to visit the Round Table Hold. According to the old legends, wolves are the shadows of the Empyrean, and this is what Vargrim aspired to be. If you do the Volcano Manor questline, you can actually invade Vargrim at the OG Round Table Hold. During this fight, he wields the Godslayer's Greatsword, which was the sacred sword of the Glomide Queen before she was defeated by Maliketh. And the Glomide Queen was rumored to be an Empyrean. By the way, if you want to know more about the Glomide Queen, be sure to check out this recent collab I did with Tim Diggity, as well as this earlier video of mine. So Vargrim may have become a shadow of an Empyrean, even though he's not half-wolf like Maliketh or Blaidd. In other words, there is already precedent in the game for a CNT starting class becoming an NPC who wanted to be an Empyrean shadow. That's quite the coincidence. So I think it would be very fitting for the Shadow of Miquella to search for Miquella in the Land of Shadow. This is why I think this knight will turn out to be Miquella's lost shadow, and she'll most likely have an NPC quest where we get to learn more about Miquella through her. Since this is a FromSoft game, I'm assuming her quest will end in tragedy, but that has already been foreshadowed in the base game. According to E.G., the shadows essentially have a kill switch.
But if Lady Ranni, as an Empyrean, resists being an instrument of the Two Fingers, the Shadow will go mad, transforming from a follower into a horrid curse. But such is his destiny. In such matters, Blaidd's own thoughts hold no weight.
But as Blaidd himself shows, they can still remain loyal to their Empyrean even as they go mad. Brief side note, it's been my headcanon that all of the promotional footage we've seen of the Bloody Wolf in action is actually Vulgrim exploring before the player character Tarnished got to the lands between. We see him fight plenty of bosses, but we don't see him defeat any of them. But again, that is just pure headcanon and fun. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what yins think.